So your twin flame came back. They unblocked you. They started talking to you, right? That's the scenario. Maybe not for you personally watching, but presumably at some point that may happen, and it usually does, almost reliably so. That'll happen at some point. Well, what do you do? What do you do when your twin flame comes back? And the answer is nothing. Technically, there's no better way to explain this than to point out that there is another way than doing, right? I gotta do something. I don't need to do anything, right? Duality. You only have two choices in duality. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's just what duality is. I got to do something about them. I don't need to do anything about them. Do, not do. And I guess you could say that you don't need to do anything about them, actually. You could say that, but we're up against a language barrier when I give you that answer. Keep watching, and this will make more sense to you. You already are your twin flame. You don't need to do anything about them. You just need to be the energy of soul. Everybody knows that twin flames are one soul, two bodies. Okay? The mind works on duality. Physical body, mind, soul. The mind operates on duality, right? Yin yang, light dark, opposites, good bad, right wrong, past future, right? That's how the mind works, and I'm not saying that's bad. That's just how the mind works. So, technically, you could say that you don't need to do anything about your twin flame, right? Which sounds like duality, right? Not do or do. I do not need to do anything about them. I do need to do something about them. The real problem in this teaching or this explanation that I'm giving you right now is the language barrier. I'm up against a language barrier, and all I have to do is point out that there is a language barrier, and you will be able to better understand. Here's the deal with the language barrier. The English language, in fact, almost all languages on our planet are rooted in duality, and that's not bad. I'm just saying that's how it is. There are, however, other languages that haven't been used for a long time that aren't rooted in duality. Okay, they're rooted in oneness, source, singularity. So you've got the singularity, the monad, source, which is the soul, which is your twin flame. And then you have duality, opposites, yin, yang. A dyad. The monad, single, source, right? The soul. The dyad, duality, the mind, right? Personality, ego, the mind, right? Thought, emotion. That's just what that is. It's not necessarily good or bad. The mind is what calls a thing good or bad. So it's not really that you need to do or not do anything about your twin flame. You just need to access the single source energy that you already are. You can do or not do anything you want about your twin flame. What matters, however, is what you are being with regard to this person. If you approach this like you are separate from them, that's what causes them to run. They call it separation consciousness, and it's the mind. It's duality. There's me and there's you. The mind is externalized. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's just how the mind works. And there's a good reason for why the mind is like that I won't get into today. But there's a purpose behind it, right? And you watching already know what that is. You might already understand this. Guys, this is stuff that most of you already know. You are body, mind, soul. You just have to recognize how the three parts operate, okay? And if it is true that you and your twin flame are one soul, and it is, You just need to do soul stuff, which technically isn't doing. Okay? So again, there's a language barrier that I'm moving beyond that language barrier. So recognize that it's not really doing or not doing. And the mind, it doesn't understand what I'm saying. The mind cannot understand soul, okay? Because soul is source. It's consciousness. It's being, right? So here's what I mean by that. There's thoughts and feelings going on. I see thoughts and feelings going on. Oh, why am I thinking these things? Why am I feeling these things? I'm thinking and feeling things, right? And then there is a you who notices the thoughts and feelings. You notice thoughts and feelings going on. But did you notice that you are the noticer? Think about that. No pun intended. You notice thoughts and feelings going on. Did you notice that you are the noticer? Right. That's the soul. The soul is consciousness. That's your twin flame. The soul is not duality. It's just the observer. Okay? This is traditional Zen spiritualism, 10,000-year-old traditional Zen spiritualism. The twin flame journey is really just the true spiritual journey. Okay? Buddha, Jesus, Hare Krishna, the Dalai Lama, Abraham Hicks, Alan Watts, right? Neil Donald Walsh, Eckhart Tolle, Michael Singer, John Kabat-Zinn, Charlotte Jocko Beck, just to name a few, people who are teaching the art of being. Being. And the mind goes, being what? What are you being? Right? The mind is externalized. It's separation consciousness. So from the point of view of the mind, you're either being this or being that. But the soul isn't being anything. It's just being. It's just existing, and that's all. It's consciousness. It's one. It's source. Okay? So it doesn't matter what you do or don't do about your twin flame. It doesn't matter. You can do or not do. That's not it. And the mind is limited to the structure of duality. That's its function. Okay, and it's really good at it. The problem is when you believe you are your mind, which everybody on earth does. Everybody believes that they are this persona, this personality, this ego, right? But that's not who you are. You are the consciousness. You are the being, which is your twin flame, by the way. So the mind cannot comprehend how to go about this being that I speak of. Right, because it's separation consciousness. There's a me and there's a you. I've got to either do or not do. This is beyond thought. Okay, the soul is beyond thought. It's consciousness. Consciousness is not thought. Write that down. Type that in the comments. Consciousness is not thought. Type that in the comments. Remember that. Consciousness is not thought. This is key. Okay? You are that. And so is your twin flame. You are the same source of consciousness. You are one soul. You are one being. The mind is externalized, and it's separation consciousness, duality, right? Kind of all one ball of wax there. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's just what that is. And if you approach this through the constructs, the mental constructs of the mind, they run. Your twin flame runs from you. Okay? But this is not a journey of the mind. This is a journey of the soul. You and your twin flame are one soul. You are one being. And you just have to be. Right? So to ask the question, the very question itself is flawed. What do I do about my twin flame when they come back? What do I do about them? The very question is flawed. It's based on duality. The mind can only understand duality. It's not going to understand consciousness because consciousness is not thought. Understanding is thought. And I'm not saying that's bad. That's just what that is. Consciousness is not thought. The mind is never going to be able to comprehend consciousness. Consciousness can only be experienced as the true self, which is what you are. You are the true self. You are consciousness. That's who you are. You are the observer, right? You notice thoughts and feelings going on. Now, I'd like you to notice that you are the noticer. It's very simple, guys. And the mind is going to resist this teaching. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe you're watching this video going, oh my God, this makes sense. Well, of course it does. This is a 10,000-year-old teaching. I'm only teaching you what Buddha taught you. You feel me, right? That's why I was able to get my twin flame to come back to me. My twin flame is permanently in my life. And I've helped over 3,000 people do the same thing. You can go to my website right now and read testimonials from my students. All you got to do is be. There's actually no doing involved of any kind. This is beyond thought. This is beyond form. This is who you really are. And the mind doesn't like this explanation because it can't understand it. And so it says it's invalid. Also, it doesn't like this teaching because what I'm telling you is actually taking all of the control away from your mind. Okay, your mind wants to control everything with you and your twin flame. That's what it wants to do, right? You notice how the mind is doing that all the time. I got to do something about them. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do anything about them. Do not do. And that's the only thing that the mind is capable of. Okay, but you are there as the conscious observer noticing the mind. Right. The conscious observer is your twin flame. You just need to separate yourself. 2 words, your self. You need to separate yourself from the patterns of the mind. And the mind doesn't like that. It wants to say this isn't going to work because it doesn't make sense to me. But it's never going to make sense to your mind. Because consciousness is not thought. It's simple, guys. It's simple. This is something different than you've ever tried before. Trust me. Okay? This is not anything that you've ever tried before. Okay? And the question is, who is you? What is that? What is me? Right. Not your mind. Not your personality. You are being. You are consciousness. That's your twin flame. And that's how you deal with your twin flame when they come back. It's actually not doing. It's a third option that the mind cannot comprehend, and it never will. And it's going to complain. It's going to try to say that it's not going to work, but it does work. Because you and your twin flame are the same soul. You are one consciousness. Am I making sense? I think I'm making sense. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.